Governance and Audit Committee, which is open to the press and public on request. This meeting will not be broadcast live. However, a recording will be made available as soon as possible after the meeting has concluded. We welcome the use of the Welsh language at meetings. I have had no request for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Please can members attending via Microsoft Teams refrain from using the chat function and instead use the raised hand icon to indicate when you want to speak. May I remind members that as per statutory guidance made under the Section 4 of the Local Government Wales Measure 2011 and our formally adopted hybrid meeting policy, any member attending a meeting remotely must be able to be seen and heard by the members and officers who are attending the meeting, as well as by the members of the public viewing the meeting. So can I ask that you all please use your cameras for the duration of the meeting. Please remember to keep your microphones muted when you are not talking. Moving on to the agenda. Welcome and apologies. Jade, do we have any apologies, please?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. We have apologies from Councillor Ashley, Councillor Byrne and Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Declarations of interest. Jade, could you ask the members of the alphabetical order to state whether they have any interest to declare?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. So, starting with Councillor Davis, please.
None that I'm aware of.
Thank you. Councillor Peter Jones?
None that I'm aware of.
Thank you. Mr Kelleher?
I have a small pension from Torvine, if that matters.
Thank you. And yourself, Chair?
Nothing to declare, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr Rees, please.
Boradapo, nothing to declare, thanks.
Thanks all.
Right, the Minutes and Governance of Audit Committee from October the 3rd. Please could you state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I will take them all as agreed. I see no hands raised. Nothing to be discussed, so I'll take them as agreed and read. Thank you. Minutes of the Governance and Audit Committee meeting from the 18th of October 2023. Please can you state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I will take them as agreed and read. No, I see no hands raised. Thank you. Moving on, the action sheets. Members, please can you state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the action sheet? If not, we can note its contents. Mr Tom Roberts, I think we're going to ask you to verbal update action 3.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, members. Apologies I wasn't able to get this response in time to be included within the action sheet. The query related to recommendation 7 of the audit report, which is around partnership working and the extent to which our building control service is or isn't already working in partnership. I've had a response from the service area now relating to this query, and that is Torvine Council Building Control already have available and use the Local Authority Building Control Partnership Scheme on applications where required. This allows us to ensure resilience and utilise skills and experience of surveyors within the whole of the Local Authority Building Control network. There are currently discussions ongoing with the Welsh authorities on potential delivery models and opportunities for further collaboration, which would present more significant change in the future. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you. We're all happy with that response. Is there any questions for Tom? No, all happy. Thank you. Moving on. Agenda item 6 is the Financial Services Budget, Treasury Management and Prudential Guidelines. Sharon Coles, please can you present the report?
was on.
It was on. Oh, sorry. Do you want me to start again? Can you hear me now? Yeah? Shall I do it again, or? Nope. Right. Okay, we'll go again. So the Capital Strategy Report provides a high-level overview, I can hear myself now, of capital expenditure, capital financing and treasury management activities out to 28-29. It is a forward-looking report of how we see things progressing over the next 5 years, and the key aim of this report is to assure you capital resources are used effectively and are aligned with the Council's treasury management strategy. The spend on capital projects is addressed in paragraph 4.1.3, table 1, and there are 3 main areas of spend: education, with the continuation of the 21st Century Band B programme; economy and environment, with spend allocated to highways and asset management; adults and communities, with the redevelopment of the British and Green Meadow Community Farm. Obviously, any capital spend has to be financed and affordable, and 4.2 lists the sources of finance available to the Council, and Table 3 shows how we intend to finance this capital spend. Where capital expenditure is not paid for immediately by capital receipts, grants or other contributions, then a notional borrowing need is created called the Capital Financing Requirement, or CFR. It is unlikely that actual borrowing levels will be equal to the CFR, as we tend to use surplus cash balances or our own cashback reserves to fund the spend as far as is affordable. In line with statutory requirements, the Council is required to pay off an element of the CFR annually through a charge to revenue called the Minimum Revenue Provision, or MRP. And there are various methods in which we can calculate this. Ours is outlined in Appendix A, Annex A. And as mentioned earlier, this report also details our treasury management strategy for both borrowing and investments. But I appreciate our corporate accounting function is very technical and dry, and so I will simply add that we are very strict in the selection of our investment counterparties and very limited in the time frame we will lend. Again, all of this is included within Appendix A. One last thing I would like to mention is that in November we repaid the last 4 of our LOBO loans, which have always been the subject of negative publicity and freedom of information requests across all councils, even though ours were not complex in nature. And this has allowed us to secure substantial savings over the next few years, or over the remaining lives of those loans. I'm aware that you've all had sight of these reports prior to today, and I don't want to risk talking you into a stupor caused by my fascination of capital accounting and treasury management, as Peter's already just warned me. So in conclusion, I'll finish with thanks for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions either now or in an email. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? No, I see no hands raised. I do, sorry. On your table on page 28, which is the capital financing, supported borrowing is consistent across all the future years, 2.67. All the other figures alter. Why doesn't that one alter? No, that's okay. Sorry.
That's basically as Sharon said, we've assumed it's flat line because that money comes from Welsh Government, so that only comes on an annual basis.
Right.
So
we
prudently assuming it's going to be flat.
Thank you.
And we hope it's not going to go down.
Thank you. And I did have something in Appendix A on your fixed variable maturity profile. Why is there such a big peak on 2027-28?
It's basically due to the number of loans that mature then. So we would take them and then, or we would repay them then, and then possibly re-borrow at a different point in time, just to smooth out the profile of the looking of that graph, so that our profile is smoother.
Yeah, because there's a bit of a big peak in it.
It is a bit of a peak there, yeah.
It draws attention to itself a bit.
It does. I think it's mainly because we repaid the 4 LOBO loans, so it makes it look completely different now than it did previously, so it does stand out more now, yeah.
So I'm going to worry about that one.
No,
Thank you very much.
No, we got it. It's okay.
I guessed you would, but I thought I'd got to ask. Anybody else got any questions with regard to these?
Councillor Rees and
Mr. Rees, your hand is raised.
Diolch, Chair. Thanks. Just wanted to first off make a comment. In the report, the paragraph regarding commercial activities 4.7, and then in the paragraph 4.7.1, where it goes into a little bit more detail, and it makes a comment that the council is not investing in commercial developments like some councils have and have got their fingers burnt with gambling their resources like that. And so I just wanted to make the comment that I'm glad that the council is not going along those lines, but would like to have some reassurance that if at any point in the future that that was considered, that you know, they make sure that it is as rock solid and secure as possible. So it was just a comment rather than a question. But I do have a question on Appendix A, where there's reference to the council contract with Lloyds Bank, and it talks about the time that it's there we are, page 44, paragraph 30. I was just curious to know what the cost of that contract was, if you're allowed to tell us that, and whether you know you shop around, or whether you're quite certain that we've got the best deal for running our bank account. Thank you.
Would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, that's all, Chair. Thanks very much. When we do a full tender for the banking services, so on that basis, you know, it's my response that yes, we are ensuring that we got value for money. We only had one tenderer last time. The market for local authorities, because of the complex nature of the beast, isn't great. For years and years, it was limited to the co-op. That they were interested, then they withdrew the services from the market completely. So we went out to tender, and yeah, we only had Lloyds tendering for the service. So it's a very low level we pay to them. I prefer not to say in an open committee, but I could tell you at the side. But it is a very low level that we pay, around about 5 digits, low flow 5 digits. Okay, is that okay?
Thank you for that reassurance. Is that okay, Mr. Rees?
Yes, thank you very much, and I perfectly appreciate and understand that if they were the only ones to offer a contract, then that's what you had to do. But I'm sure you did all that you need to do to make sure it was all proper and above board. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, your hand is raised.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just looking at all these the budget now, like we are in a healthy position going forward then compared to other authorities, neighbouring authorities. So with the borrowing and things we've been repaid off now, going forward, we're in quite a healthy position then, so you've nothing to worry about. Just that's basically all I was going to ask us all.
That's fine. I'd like to second that and say we appreciate the fact that we are well looked after here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, if there's no other questions or queries, can I assume that we can take the recommendations that are on page 33? You state whether you're against the recommendations or wish to abstain, otherwise I'll take them as agreed. I see no abstentions, so we'll take them all as agreed. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 7, the Internal Audit Operational Plan Quarterly Update. Mr. Peter Williams, if you'd like to present your report, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is the quarterly update on where we are with the Internal Audit Plan, as agreed in March every year. Headline figures, paragraph 4.1 on page 56. As you know, two main targets I always report on. One is the overall plan. We aim to achieve 75% of that, and we're currently at 54, which is quite healthy. And then the secondary target is the main financial systems, or the core plan, as I refer to it. There's about 12 jobs in there, and we've achieved 75% of that to date. So it's quite a positive story. I'm confident that, subject to no loss of resources in the final quarter, I'm confident we will hit those targets and certainly do enough coverage to enable an annual opinion to be provided on the system of internal control. In terms of issues to bring to your attention, still on page 56 again, paragraph 4.2, it refers to the Appendix A, which is the list of all the jobs in the plan. In terms of changes from the last quarterly update, there's still no high priority recommendations being identified in the work we've carried out. But there have been 2 audits completed where the opinion has been limited, so less than 50% of the controls we expect to be in place are in place for those 2 systems. The one relates to officers' expenses, and the other one relates to third sector grants, which are sort of financial payments we make to third third sector bodies to provide services on our behalf or in partnership with us. Disappointing they're limited, but I don't think the recommendations, they can turn that around in terms of the recommendations. We've got an agreed action plan. The recommendations we made have been accepted, and we will do a follow-up on both those audits in about 6 months' time, and hopefully come back and report a positive outcome at that stage. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else within the appendices on page 60, I think they are, 61 onwards, and I need to bring to your attention. As per usual, the code is the ones that are white text on a black background are the changes since the last period, so they're work that's been completed in the quarter, but pleased to answer any questions any member of the committee may have.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, your hand is raised.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. That's just a clarification for myself. Because this has been alluded or mentioned, third sector grants, I bear a note, I'll put down for the record that I'm actually Chair of Gansington Partnership, and we do receive third sector grants. So would I need to declare interest for that, just in case, just to cover myself?
I think that can be just noted, Councillor Davis.
Just noted, just to cover myself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dara, for your input. Anybody else got any questions or queries with regard to this report? Mr. Rees, your hand is raised.
Chair, and thanks, Peter, for the report. Referring back to what you were talking about just now, paragraph 4.2, I'm glad that the vast majority of audit work is well on track, and that the vast majority of services and that you look into is all going okay. Those 2 that you highlighted, and I don't think that from knowing a little bit about them that that's going to be a huge problem. But the fact that you have to you're going to have to return to it and go through the audit process again, is that likely to have an impact on all the other planned audits that you have in the pipeline? Thanks.
No, I won't, because every year, as part of the plan, there are audits we plan, like the main systems audit, and we have a series of follow-up audits. So we plan to carry out follow-up audits on a risk basis in terms of ones like identified with a limited opinion. So no, it will be as part of next year's plan, so it won't cause any resourcing issues for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or queries? If not, can I assume that the recommendations on page 59 of the agenda, can you state whether you're against the recommendations or wish to abstain? Otherwise, I'll take them all as agreed. I see no hands raised, so we'll take them as agreed. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 8, the Public Sector Internal Audit Standards Update. Back to Peter Williams. Can you present this report, please?
Thank you, Chair. This is an exercise that we have to undertake, I say approximately every 5 years, actually 6 years since we had the last one. It's basically audit being audited. I can't put any simpler than that. There are a set of standards in the public sector which we're expected to comply with, called the Public Sector Internal Audit Standards. They're mainly private sector written, but they do have a public sector slant. So what happens is I have to do a self-assessment process annually, which I bring to the committee. And every 5 years, that's going to be validated or accredited by an external body. We use the body called the South West Audit Partnership, SWAP. They did the review about 6 years ago as well. They're accredited to do this type of work. So I've engaged with them. I've done the self-assessment, and the process was submit the self-assessment documents, a series of meetings with myself, a series of meetings with about 12 people who I think are identified on the report, including the chair of the audit committee, a number of directors, a number of heads of service, a couple of school head teachers, important people like Dave Liddy.
Am I not important?
Who's that?
Really important. Dave's really important. And a questionnaire that was sent out as well. I think we give a list of about 90 audits that have been carried out in the year 22 to 23, so they sent a questionnaire to each of those, and I think they had about a 50% response rate in terms of a series of questions, what they think of audit, does it contribute, any issues, etc. And they've all quantified those and discussed those with them, completely independent process, and then they have to give an outcome then on their assessment. There are only 3 possible outcomes. They're not particularly exciting. It's either you generally conform, which is the best you can get, you partially conform, or you don't conform. And their conclusion is we generally conform. So, you know, we can't get any higher than the general conform. So, quite pleased with that. Quite, you know, reflection of the work that the team does constantly. Also, there's some recommendations within the report. I think there's about 7 issues they've identified which are a priority 2, which are my equivalent of medium priorities in the work I do. So ours are medium low, there's a 1, 2 and 3. I've accepted those recommendations. There's 7 which I work through over a period of time. There are timescales on some of them to do. So I put that in an action plan and I report that to committee in terms of an update of where we are against the actions on an annual basis. So quite a positive outcome. Shoes on the other foot, nice to be audited instead of being audited other people for a change, I suppose. But you know, it is what it is. So there are changes to the process now. There's a new. I don't think they're significant, but they obviously review the process. This has been in for about 10 years now. This public sector internal audit standards. There's a consultation period that happened, and a new set of processes, a new process is due to, I think it's 2025 at the moment. So the advice is if you still haven't done it in 2024, use the old one. From 2025 onwards, the new one will come in. So when that one's published in 2025, we then look at those, see where we are, and do another annual assessment. And then in 5 years' time, I think it may be 10 years' time on the new one, you seek the external accreditation again and see where you go from there. So overall, a positive story. We meet the standards. There are a couple of areas we need to look at to improve on and take those on board and implement them where we can. So please take any questions on any of that.
Before we take any questions, I'd like to thank Peter for all the hard work that's gone into this, because as I said, I took part in the external evaluator online. I was just one of many, and Peter's had to put all this report together. I was disappointed that we came out as generally conformed, because I think of all the hard work that we've done and all the grilling I had, I think we should have had an excellent. But there we go. If generally conforms is the best we can get, then I'm really happy that we got that. So thank you, Peter, for all your hard work. Right, we've got some hands raised. So, Councillor Jones, your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you, Peter, for that report. It's pleasing to see that we've got the top mark. I'm just curious, do the external auditors come back and follow up, you know, as you do with your audit reports on the small areas that need improving?
No, it's sort of in between the external assessments. It's internal self-assessment. So I report to yourselves every year, but they don't come back and check that. You know, it could be them or it could be another body who will come back and do a further assessment in 5 years' time. I suppose because ours is a relatively positive, well, it is a positive report. I suppose if it wasn't as positive and we weren't conforming, you know, partially conforming, they might recommend they come and do a follow-up on that one, but we're not in that position. But I suppose it's always an option for the authority to take, or the external assessor to take, if the grading isn't as good as it should be.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or queries? You might have noticed that one of the 7 actions relates to performance appraisal feedback from the Chair of Audit for the Head of Internal Audit. I was a bit worried about that one. But there we go. We'll be guided as we go along, I expect. Thank you. Right, if there are no other questions or queries, can we just take the recommendations on page 65 of the agenda? Please state you're against the recommendations, wish to abstain, otherwise we'll take them as agreed. I think we're all happy with that report. Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much, everybody. Right, agenda item 9, the Audit Committee Work Programme. This is for information only. Peter Williams, can you just run us through it? You may want to comment.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's the sort of skeleton programme of what we want to achieve in the year. It's also pretty positive. Most of the things we expected to be on the agenda are on the agenda. The only bit we haven't had a report is the Audit Wales, and they'll catch up at the next quarter in terms of their quarterly report. They weren't available for this meeting, so we'll hope to see a catch up there in the March meeting. But other than that, it's you know, we've done what we expected to what we planned to do as a committee.
Thank you. Are we all happy with that? Excellent. Before I close this meeting with the date of the next meeting, those who are on the committee, please can we stay behind for a little while to go through our self-assessment exercise that we've been doing. So please don't disappear off the planet. Stay with us. We'll just let all the officers leave us and we can discuss it on our own then, okay? So the date and time of the next meeting will be on the 20th of March 2024. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for your contributions. And I'll close the meeting to the public. Thank you.